You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Okay, we'll call this meeting of the Branford Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. I have 7:01 p.m. I'll introduce members of the commission and staff. Joe Chadwick. Joe, are you here? Joe, I think you're here, but for some reason I didn't hear you. We still can't hear you. Okay, I guess
he's. I think he may rejoin the meeting or something.
Okay. Okay, let's go down. Fred Russo. Fred, are you here?
Fred Russo's here.
Thanks, Fred. Joe Ayuso. Joe, are you here?
Ayuso's here.
Thanks, Joe. Marcy Pelusi. Marcy, are you here?
Marcy's here.
Thank you, Marcy. Massimo Liguri. Massimo, are you here?
Massimo Liguri is here.
Thank you, Massimo. Sharon Hutner. Sharon, are you here?
Sharon Hutner is here.
Thank you, Sharon. And we'll try Joe again. Joe, any luck? Joe Chadwick? Are you...
It sounds like he's relogging on. Looked like he just disappeared.
Okay. And our staff this evening is our town planner, Harry Smith. Harry, you're here?
I'm here.
And our assistant planner, Evan Brining. Evan, are you here?
Here.
And I am Chuck Anders, chair. Also lurking somewhere in the cloud is our clerk recording secretary, Michelle Martin. So
he's going to get unmuted.
Yeah, I just made him a co-host, so Joe, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Come on, Joe. There we go.
Okay, there's that.
Okay.
Joe, can you speak and see? We can see if we can hear you, or do you think you're not ready yet?
Nice. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We can try calling him, but I mean, we could go ahead with things that are not going to get voted on, I suppose. Hopefully he reconnects if you want. I don't know. Keep expecting him to pop back up.
Yeah, I keep expecting back up. Well, we can at least get some of the process down.
Sure.
Okay, well, we'll introduce, we did introduce members of the commission staff. And Fred, do you want to read the notice of public hearing?
Yes. Legal notice, Town of Branford. The Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Branford, Connecticut hereby gives notice of public hearings to be held on Thursday, November 2nd, 2023 at 7 p.m. by remote technology to consider the applications listed below. Information regarding how to participate in the public hearings will be provided on the Commission's meeting agenda that will be posted on the town's website at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. Application number 23-9.7, special exception for grading, section 6.8, for retaining walls for the installation of a swimming pool located at 5 Spice Bush Lane. Matt Santepi, applicant and owner. At said hearings, all persons will have the right to be heard. Copies are on file in the Planning and Zoning Commission's office at the Planning and Zoning Department, 1019 Main Street, Branford, Connecticut, 06405. Written communications may be sent to the above address or to Planning and Zoning at branford-ct.gov. Branford Planning and Zoning Commission, C. Andres, Chairperson.
Chuck Anderson, thank you, Fred. We'll follow our normal format for public hearings, which is the applicant will go first, make a presentation using itself or its consultants. After that, we turn it over to the commission and staff, we typically have a summary of a staff report, and open up for questions, comments from our commissions. At that point, we open up for public comment. We ask that you state your name for the record, and Evan's going to explain how to participate in a second. After the public portion, we turn it back to the applicant to respond to any public comments. And then we also open it up for further questions, comments from commission members. So with that, Evan, can you just review with us the process for participating in a public hearing?
Sure. If a member of the public would like to speak, down at the bottom of your screen, there's a reactions button. From there, a few options pop up. Please select raise your hand if you'd like to participate. You can also indicate in the chat that you'd like to speak, and we ask that everyone please state their name at the beginning of their comment or question.
Chuck Anderson, thank you, Evan. Just to check, Joe Chadwick, can you, I know you're muted right now, but can you hear us and can we hear you?
I can hear you.
And I can hear you, so we are good.
Okay.
Okay,
Nothing like switching the computer in the midstream.
Don't you love it? With that, then, the first three items are Cherry Hill Estates, 26 Cherry Hill Road. It's the PDD master plan and the special exception modification and the PDD site plan modification for the multifamily residential development there. This is a matter that we opened as a public hearing at our September 7th meeting. It's been continued a number of times, most recently to receive comments from the Town Center Review Board. And I understand that they're still before the Town Center Review Board. Is that correct, Harry or Evan? Tell us what's happening. And Harry, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Harry Smith, Town Planner. That is correct. At its last meeting, the Town Center Revitalization Review Board requested some additional information about certain aspects of the buildings as they've been constructed that really weren't apparent on the plans presented to them. And they're meeting next on the 8th of November, next week. And we have a written time extension from the applicant through the next meeting, 11/16 of the commission.
Great.
So I guess we suggest continuing all three applications to the November 16th meeting.
Okay, so we will continue these three items to our November 16th meeting. I think we mentioned that that was likely to be the case at the last meeting, and sure enough, that is what is happening. So items 1 through 3, the Cherry Hill Estates applications, we are simply continuing those to our next meeting, which will be on November 16th, also a Zoom meeting with the same Zoom address, starting at 7 p.m. That brings us into item number 4, which is Southview Island LLC, Bear Island, aka Big Curtis Island. This is a special exception coastal site plan for a new single-family home with a detached guest bedrooms in an accessory structure. And I understand we're still waiting to hear comments from the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection for this one. Is that correct, Gary or Evan?
That's correct.
Okay, so I guess we opened that one at our last meeting, so we should, is the suggestion then that we continue this one as well? Is that correct, to our next meeting on November 16th?
Yes.
Okay. So then for item number 4, we will continue that one as well to our meeting also on November 16th. It's also a Zoom meeting at our 7 p.m. regular meeting. So with that, then, what brings us then to item number 5, which is Matt Sayantepi. Don't know if I got that right, at 5 Spice Bush Lane. This is a special exception for grading. And is the applicant ready to proceed with this one?
I don't see the applicant here, but I can share my screen and show what they're proposing.
Thank you, Evan.
This application is for a modification of a grading application. This commission approved in May 2023. This was the original plan showing an above ground pool and some grading that's within 100 feet of a wetland in the rear of their property. They are now proposing to move that above ground pool, some regrading behind it, with the addition of 2 retaining walls on the side of the pool facing the home. They meet the bulk requirements of the R4 district. No lighting has been included in their application, but a condition has been added that would require compliance with section 6.7. They added erosion control measures to their site plan. They meet the earth slope requirements, the 3-to-1 ratio that we have, as well as the requirements of section 613C, which pertains to retaining walls. They received Inland Wetland Commission approval on October 10th. And based on the application materials presented, the applicant satisfies the special exception criteria. Staff recommends the following conditions: that prior to the start of construction, erosion control measures shall be installed, and that any lighting shall be compliant with section 6.7.
Chuck Anderson, thank you, Evan. Any questions or comments from any members of the commission and staff before we open it up to the public? Hearing none, then let's open it up to the public. Does any member of the public wish to comment? Evan, do you see anyone?
Just to reiterate, down at the bottom of your screen, there's a reactions button. You can select that. From there, select raise hand if you'd like to participate, or type it in the chat that you'd like to comment. I do not see anyone.
Okay. Okay, does anyone have any further questions or comments, commission members or staff, on this application? Then I think we can close this matter. Frankly, it seems to be a relatively straightforward, fairly minor matter. So we can close the public hearing on this matter and may be able to take it up in a little bit. So that completes our public hearing items scheduled for this evening. It brings us into our minutes from our October 19th meeting, which I believe were mailed to us. And I don't know if people had a chance to review those, and if someone would like to make a motion with respect to the October 19th minutes.
Fred Russo, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the October 19th minutes made by Fred. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second by Joe Chadwick. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Joe Chadwick?
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo?
Fred Russo in favor.
Joe Vayuzo?
Vayuzo in favor.
Marcy?
Marcy's in favor.
And chair's also in favor. So those minutes are approved. Any correspondence, Harry?
Harry Smith, Town Planner. There's one item. It is a cell tower correspondence, and frankly, I don't have it with me, so I'll get it in 1 second. It has to do with a cell tower at 405 Brushy Plain Road, owned by American Tower Corporation. Going to swap, actually take some antennas off and install some reinforcements on the tower. That's it.
Thank you, Harry. Okay, then let's, I think we can probably bring back the public hearing item that we just heard. This is Matt Santepi, applicant and owner for 5 Spice Bush Lane. This was the special exception for grading. Maybe, Evan, you can pull up your recommended findings or conditions. So was there any comment from anyone from this? Again, it seems to be just a minor modification of the previous approval. Complies with the regulations, it appears to. If anyone has any thoughts or comments on this? And if not, does someone want to make a motion to approve the application with the recommended 2 conditions set forth by Evan in his staff report that's presently projected in front of us?
Chadwick makes that motion.
Motion approved by Joe Chadwick. Is there a second?
Joe seconds.
Second by Joe Vayuzo. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Joe Chadwick?
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo?
Fred Russo in favor.
Joe Vayuzo?
Joe in favor.
Marcy Palusi?
Marcy's in favor.
And the chair is also in favor. That brings us into old business. Item number 1 of the old business is the landscape regulations, Shirley McCarthy and Peter Henschel. I think the applicant has withdrawn that application. I think, Carrie, you did send that letter out. And I think the letter also had a recommendation that, we continue to keep this on our radar. And I think that it's, I think our tentative conclusion last time was let's just, discuss this at our February meeting and see what we think. I think what the applicant chose to withdraw the application as opposed to getting a denial without prejudice, but it was a denial. And the applicants did indicate a willingness, I believe, to assist in the event that we were to continue to review the issue. And then I think coincidentally, Harry, you pointed out that some other towns were looking at landscaping as well. There's a listserv for planners, and the issue had come up just frankly this week. So it may be worth looking at again, but I think we can put that. We can discuss that at our February meeting and see where we are. And in the meantime, we can give it some thought.
Harry Smith, Town Planner. It was the town of Greenwich, and they adopted change their landscaping regulations, actually including a lot of the material that was in the application that was just withdrawn. So I will send that around to the commission at some point before February.
Great. Any other thoughts or comments from anyone?
Yeah, I think an awful lot of work was done on getting that application to the point where it was. I don't want to see the momentum lost, and there was too much very good intelligence invested in the sort of initial thought and the development, and I don't want to make it seem like we're giving it any kind of short shift.
Thanks, Joe. Anyone else? Okay, then we'll we'll discuss this again. Harry will send around that, and so we'll have it, and then we'll review the issue again at our February meeting to see what direction we may want to go with that. I think there's, there in the existing regulations, I think, frankly, there's some things that could be corrected, and as well as some additional. So, okay, so that brings us to item number 2 of old business, which is the Wells Fargo Bank 840 Main Street site plan modification. We tabled this last time, and I think our decision is required by our next meeting. Have you had any further communications, Harry or Evan, with the applicant on this one?
Yes, they're still working on trying to bring the lighting into compliance, and they've granted an extension to the November 16th meeting. So I guess we can give them a little bit more time until that meeting.
Okay, so then we'll table this item again for the Wells Fargo lighting application. That brings us into item number 3, which is Terranite 279 Linden Avenue. This is a coastal site plan, demolition of existing house and construction of a new single-family home. And I believe we referred this to Deep as well, and we haven't heard back. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Evan? Okay. So then this one we can table this one as well. It's required. I guess we have to render a decision by our next meeting, absent an extension, but we'll see where we are. Hopefully we will have some comments from Deep to see if they have any comments on that, and we'll go from there. So that item number 3 is tabled. So that brings us then to new business, which is Branford Real Estate LLC, care of Arian Pravella, applicant and owner, 544 and 558 West Main Street, special exception for used car dealership. This is a matter that needs a public hearing, and I believe it's been scheduled for December 7th. Is that correct?
Harry Smith, Town Planner. We haven't definitively done that yet. We will do that. Evan's actually looking at the application, and probably will be corresponding, I think, with representatives of the applicant and figure out how fast they could remedy some initial kind of deficiencies in the materials submitted, including the plans. Maybe that'll dictate when we can have it scheduled for public hearing. But we can leave it if the commission's okay with a scheduling to be determined by you and I, as per previous motion of the commission.
Sure, that makes sense. There's no reason opening the public hearing if it's not really ready, and we just end up continuing it. So why not schedule? Does that sound okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll schedule that as appropriate. Okay, that brings us into other business. Item number 1, interpretation regarding measurement of 5,000 foot separation distance cited in section 7.12B. Harry, you want to review that with us?
I can, sure. Harry Smith, Town Planner. Evan, I don't know if you had that section of the regulations up previously. You can pop that up. That would be great. We received a question not from an applicant, but from, say, an interested party at this point, questioning section of the regulations at 712B, which is the separation distance provision between self-storage facilities, is the words used. And the question is, as I understand it, is a 5,000 linear foot separation distance requirement. And the question is that from the property line on which the facility is located, or is it the building? Is that constant facility? Is the facility the whole property, or is the facility just the building and the building footprint? In the past, we've, to be conservative, we've measured from the property line. Also, it's a little difficult to determine exactly where, sometimes a building footprint actually is on the information we have. The GIS is not precise. The property line's probably a little more precise than the actual locations of the building footprints in the GIS system. And it also is the most conservative approach. So if it meets the 5,000 foot separation between property lines, it's clearly going to meet it between building foundation outlines. So at this point, that's the question. Again, it's not related to a specific potential application at this point, but that might be different in the future. So there is no definition of the word facility in the regulations that would help you or us. And we direct it in the zoning regulations themselves to a dictionary definition. And frankly, I haven't pulled that out, but I can do that. We could take it up tonight, take it up some other time. It's up to you how you want to proceed, I guess.
Okay. I mean, it appears, is it a straight line as the crow flies type of measurement, Harry?
We typically do straight line, and there's, either in Google or we use our GIS program usually and just come up with a distance. It's not, we're not counting for curvature of the earth. It's not super precise. It's just what's in the GIS.
Mm-hmm. And this was an inquiry. It wasn't by an applicant. It was by a concerned person. I think it relates, frankly, to the proposed self-service facility at Regal, and because there's another one, and whether they meet that.
Yeah, that's the only one that's out there, sort of in the on-deck circle, if you will. We've had a couple of other inquiries in town, but nothing's imminent that we know of.
Right. Yeah, my thought was that there's sort of two options. One is you measure from the property line, and the other is you measure from the building, from building to building. The rationale for measuring it from the property line is, I mean, Harry said it's the most conservative, and I guess, the way to do it. If they meet that, they would meet it from the building. The rationale for measuring from the actual building is that the term used is another self-storage facility uses the term facility. Harry's looking up the noun facility in the dictionary.
We do the definition from good old Funk and Wagnalls. There's several, so it's respect to ease of movement. But there's another definition: something, as a building, room, area, equipment, etc. that is built or purchased to make an action or operation easier or to serve as a special purpose. For example, facilities for research. So I don't know if that provides a lot of guidance.
Yeah. My thought is that there's also, the issue has come up in litigation, because where you typically have these separation distances, two things come to mind. Well, three things. One is some towns have it for liquor establishments, and those get litigated because when people don't want their booze shops being infiltrated. They don't like competition, and so this sort of language there may be case law interpreting what it means. Is what I'm saying. There is some litigation out there. It comes up in liquor licenses. It comes up with adult uses where you sometimes have separation distances, and it's now operative. And I think in our cannabis regulation, where we have, it has to be so many distance from a school and so forth. So there may be some broader implications. My sense is that we probably don't, we may not need to decide this tonight, and it may be a moot issue. If you use the conservative one, then it's going to meet it otherwise. I think, it would be the applicant's responsibility to show that they meet it, and we may have to make a determination if it becomes more of a live issue. But I think that is what I don't know if it's a live issue right now. So I don't know if we have to decide tonight. That's sort of what I'm thinking. And then if it does become a live issue, and the only way it would become a live issue is, they meet the 5,000 if it's measured from building to building, but they don't meet it if it's measured from property line to property line. Then we got to decide. But we're not there yet. And, there may be other things we could look at. So I'm sort of thinking, that it's sort of between those two, we would need to do a little more research just to see if there's litigation that gives some other things out there, but right now it may not even be a live issue. That's my thought. What do others think?
As an observation, if you want a good definition for a facility, ASTM Committee E681, I believe, 81 or 84 on serviceability had a very strong definition for facility. And when it comes time to rework some of these standards, I'll be happy to get that definition for you. I don't have my handbook with me, or else I'd be able to give it to you right now. Measuring from property line to property line is easy because of GIS. And if that is the method, sure. But given the arbitrariness of 5,000 feet, which is almost a mile, but pretty close to a certain number of meters, I don't know why 5,000 feet is a presenting reason or a qualifying reason for any kind of separation, especially for something that's done with self-storage. But okay, we've got 5,000. Measuring it as a straight line on the map, yeah, I suppose so, but I could argue it would make more sense to make it along a street line. I could also argue that from the front door or the main entrance to the primary entrance to make that dimension as enforceable. It's more difficult, but there's got to be like a rationale for the separation. And I don't detect a rationale for this. Liquor stores, I could say, yeah, there's a good reason, keeping them away from schools, porn shops, stuff like that. But especially if you have the opportunity to have a lot with a lot of street frontage or a narrow, deep lot. If you're going from edge to edge on one and edge to edge on the other, somebody's getting penalized. So it's just a little more purposefulness in why numbers come up and why we're measuring.
Hey, thanks, Joe. I mean, you raised sort of a couple of issues. One is, how you measure itself. And to me, that's all the more reason why we shouldn't make a decision tonight. It's because you raised enough of good issues. But a second issue is, why do we have the separation distance in the first place, which is sort of a different issue. I mean, we do. And we have to interpret what we have, but that's sort of a should we, interesting question. Other members have any thoughts or comments?
Fred Russo.
Fred.
Chuck, whatever that distance is, it's 5,000 on the regs, but it could be 4,500, whatever. I'm not so concerned about the distance because that could be changed if it needed to be. But I would really think more about going from property line to property line, because those are permanent. Those don't change. Building to buildings, they can change. It's more fluid, so that if you had two pieces of property and one building was set, further to one boundary line as opposed to, say, being centered, you would get your 5,000 feet in an example like this. If it happened to be over to the closer to the other line, you might not get the same 5,000 feet. So I think if you're going to try to gauge, the distance between two facilities, I think what you really have to do is look at the property and the property lines, because those don't change. Wherever the building goes on the property becomes irrelevant. In probably most cases, it would be even more than the proposed or existing 5,000 foot limit. But I think if you go building to building, those buildings in one area could be closer together or further apart. And so there's no way to say that the regulation applies equally to all buildings because of their location on the property. I think property line to property line defines the property. Now, whatever goes on there, then it's okay. Whether it's whatever kind of facility it is, doesn't make a difference. But I think the property line to property line is a more permanent way of determining the distance, whatever it may be. It may not be the right number, but whatever it may be, that would be a more permanent way to do it. That's what I have to say.
Thanks, Fred. Other comments from anyone?
Marcy here.
Marcy?
I think, parcel sizes can change. So depending on how the building is situated on a site, I mean, I would hate to see a building be sited around this regulation and not what was logical for the property. I think it's an arbitrary number. So I think we're really splitting hairs when it comes to, property line to the building. We're probably talking within a 50 to 100 feet, if that. I mean, how big is the property to begin with the building on it? I mean, my initial reaction is you take a radius from the center of the building and you see where it is, and then we use our judgment as a commission. If it's something offensive, that if it's at 4,999 feet, you have another one, because you're drawing a radius versus the property. I mean, then I think that's when you discuss it. But I mean, I just think for general practical standards, you would just put a radius from the building and be done with it. I mean, I don't know why this is really a regulation to begin with. I'd really like to understand the basis of why it's so offensive to have two self-storage buildings 4,000 feet apart, so that's my take.
Thanks, Marcy. My understanding is, interesting question, why do we have it? My recollection was proposed by the applicant, and it was intended to address a concern, probably by some, including the person who raised this question, I assume, that these things are ugly and that we don't want to have a bunch of them. So let's have a separation distance because they're not aesthetically pleasing, and there's not the best use of property anyway for retail districts, maybe industrial or something. So, but I think that's how did it get here? I think it was proposed by an applicant who wanted to get his self-storage facility in, and threw that in as a precaution. I think probably myself and Joe Vayuso were around when the regulation was adopted, but I don't know. Anyone else?
Yeah, Massimo Ligori here. How are you? I mean, I would just think, like, if there's any changes to be made to this regulation, that that we just keep aware and keep in mind that any package stores or cannabis or porn stores should stay under that same guideline that we currently have. So we just don't mix that up if there's any changes to be made. If we could make a separation.
Sure.
I don't know if that's possible, but I just want to be aware of that, make the commission aware. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what the language is that we use for cannabis, I think is where we have now. And I mean, technically, because what do we mean by facility? Does facility refer to the whole site? I think, property line, or does it just refer to a building? So, but I don't know if that term is used in the cannabis stuff. So, but it's a good point, try to be consistency. You don't want to have one standard for one versus another, but I don't know what the actual text or language is in the cannabis one. Any other thoughts or comments by anyone? Okay, so I don't think we need to do anything more with that. You could, I think the applicant or whoever asked, Harry, you can summarize this and also refer to the discussion, on the tape so that, they can see how we have looked at this.
Sure.
That brings us then to item number 2, which is bond release for 106 Damascus Road. What's that about?
Harry, so town planner, we have a memorandum from the zoning enforcement officer, Jane Ellis, saying she's inspected the property in response to request for return of the bond. It was for a driveway apron. She's confirmed that the required work was done, recommends the return of the bond in the amount of $500 to Warner Construction Company, Vernon Warner.
Thank you, Harry. Someone make a motion to return the $500 driveway bond to the applicant for this 106 Damascus Road site.
Fred Russo, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Fred to return the bond. Is there a second?
Joe seconds.
Second by Joe Vayuso. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick.
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo,
Fred Russo's in favor.
Joe Vayuzo,
Joe Vayuso in favor.
Marcy.
Marcy's in favor.
Chair's also in favor. And the next one is for 211 Monterey Street. What's that one about?
This is a request from the owner for a bond for the outstanding landscaping site work. And I have a memorandum from Jane Ellis, zoning enforcement officer, recommending establishment of a bond in the amount of $1,800 for the outstanding landscaping work at 211 Monterey's.
Okay. Will someone make a motion to establish a bond of $1,800 as recommended by our zoning enforcement officer for the landscaping work at 211 Monterey Street?
Chadwick will make that motion.
Motion by Joe Chadwick. Is there a second?
Fred Russo seconds that motion.
Second by Fred. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick,
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo,
Fred Russo's in favor.
Joe Vayuzo,
Vayuso in favor.
Marcy,
Marcy's in favor.
and Chair is also in favor. Okay, that brings us to planners report. What's going on here?
Harry Smith, not too much to discuss tonight new. We're just trying to regroup here and hopefully get back to you with some kind of list of zoning issues. So I know we talked about having a special meeting about it, and maybe we'll survey folks, see if we can come up with something that avoids the holidays, maybe even early December or something, if that's makes sense. Hopefully we can have something we don't get a slew of any new applications or big ones. I can make some headway on that. Also, just as you refresh my memory, the commission is approaching its annual meeting in December, which is the time for re-election of officers. So I think in the past, one of the members, I think one of the alternates has been picked as sort of the nominating committee of one.
Yes, I did it last time.
Okay.
I had my turn.
You did, okay.
That's the way of saying it's Massimo's turn. Is that what you're saying?
I think you might.
She seemed to take it a step back quickly.
Yeah, there are two officers. We have a chair and a secretary, I believe. We could, in theory, have a vice chair, but no one has stepped up. So, Massimo, you want to, between now and whenever, poll people, see if there's any interest from folks. You're muted, Mas.
Muted.
Yeah.
I will definitely do that.
Okay, great.
And I think isn't it just regular members can be officers, I believe, too, just to refresh everyone's memory. I believe that's the case.
I think that's you have to be a regular member. So
yeah. Is there anything, Evan, you have want to mention? No? Okay.
Nope. Anyone have anything else?
Yeah, I believe everyone's met the education requirements. We will double check all of that, and if there's anything we see awry, we'll let people know quickly.
Chuck,
Yep.
I blocked out 4 hours of time this evening for our meeting, and it's only 7:45. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, there's always binging on Netflix if you have that.
That's right. There's got to be some Seinfeld.
There's got to be something.
Right.
We made up our time, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if I may, Massimo Ligori here. Just in case there's an alternate needed for the Cherry Hill Estates, I need to recuse myself from that. So just in case there is an alternate needed at that point in time, I just want to make it clear that I'll be recused from that, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Massimo.
Thanks for letting us know.
Thanks.
No problem.
Anyone else have anything? Not then, does someone make a motion to adjourn?
Fred Russo makes that motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Fred. Is there a second?
Marcy second.
Second by Marcy. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick,
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred,
Fred Russo is in favor.
Joe Vayuza,
Joe in favor.
Marcy,
Marcy's in favor.
and Chair's also in favor. So, good night, everyone. Look at that.
Good night, everybody.
45 minutes.
Couple weeks.
Right.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.